Oh, hello there. Didn't see you. Good Morning America here today with anti-war protester Roberto Ovalle and someone who's for the Korean War, Ivan Matevsky. We're going to discuss some important information about their opinions on the war. Let's see what they have to tell us. So, first question here tonight. How did the Korean War affect government spending in the United States?
Alright, so the Korean War affected government spending because the government had to spend a lot of money for the military and other needs of the war, and it also constrained investment and consumption during the war.
Matevsky?
But the war also boosted the GDP growth of the United States at the time.
How did the United States obtain the money to pay for the Korean War?
The United States got all of its money from the war from taxing its citizens, and they had to tax a lot in order to raise enough money to fight.
Even though taxes were raised at the time, the Federal Reserve followed with an anti-inflammatory policy to help the citizens.
What was the monetary cost of the Korean War?
The Korean War cost the U.S. $30 billion in 1953, but in today's money, that amounts up to $341 billion.
Yes, but the war did cost less than World War II, which the U.S. was inflicted in as well.
How did the economy and consumerism fluctuate in the United States?
At the outbreak of the war, prices surged and the consumer price index increased about 20% every month.
After the war, consumption and investment continued to grow in the United States.
How did the Korean War affect economical inflation?
So during the Korean War, overall inflation in the United States increased by 5.3%.
But the war boosted the economic growth by pumping new government funds into the economy at the time.
What was the shape of the U.S. economy after the war?
Well, after the Korean War, consumption and investment did not return to pre-war levels.
Yes, but the U.S. was able to rearm and become a global superpower.
What were some military actions carried out in the Korean War?
So in the Korean War, the United States ended up sending almost 6 million troops to aid South Korea and the United Nations.
The Korean War also, although sent a lot of troops, it gave the U.S. a reason to increase their military expenditure.
Do you think it was worth it to go to war in Korea?
Personally, I do not think it was worth it to go to war with Korea because the war ended up in the same place that it started. Both North Korea and South Korea were divided along the 38th parallel, and so basically the war was without a purpose, and a lot of people died for no good reason. And in fact, the total number of U.S. casualties added up to about 140,000. And also, U.S. intervention in Korea led to the same situation that the U.S. got themselves into in the Vietnam War, which was almost a decade later, which was a situation we could have almost completely avoided. Just like one of our former presidents, George Washington, said, he said that we should avoid foreign entanglements for the betterment of our own nation.
I do believe the war was needed because the Russian communism was spreading at the time and North Korea was becoming very influenced by China and Russia. So this was a way to keep South Korea and the rest of Asia to falling to communism.
And there you have it, folks, on Good Morning America with Ivan Matevsky and Roberto Ovalle, both with some pretty tasty stuff to take in there.